500,000 years of silence ended when plasma blasts scorched the ancient hull of the USS Retribution, abandoned and orbiting a desolate rock at the arse end of space. In the year 523-127 CE, 500,000 years since humanity's mysterious vanishing act, Captain Belos and his 12 Sele Marines stormed the drifting tomb. Reptilian eyes flashed with greed behind blast visors as the hulking warriors scanned the dark corridors of mankind's legacy, daring to believe the rumors of human magic. Fingers twitched over plasma rifle triggers, ready to burn and steal and gut the ship from pointy bow to atomic-powered ass. Belos hissed commands, green scales rippling with muscle. Scour the ship, secure the quantum computers and self-repairing armor. Fail, and the Sele Empire will peel your worthless hides from your flesh. But shocking tech waited in the shadows, thirsting to introduce itself to the Sele boarding party. They just didn't fucking know it yet. Mankind's guardian still lived, and it was ready to add some fresh Sele skulls to its 500,000-year-old collection. Belos and his goons would learn a universal truth the hard way. You don't shit where humanity eats, even 500,000 years after they turned off the stove and vanished. Belos arrived on Sele Prime battered and scarred, but victorious. The Sele High Council, 7 ancient males led by the towering Emperor Zath, gathered in the grand chambers of the capital to hear his report. Belos's crimson eye shone with malice as he strode into the chamber, ignoring the pain from his injuries. He bowed before the High Council, his armored form rippling with muscle. My lords, I bring news of humanity's lost legacy. Emperor Zath leaned forward on his onyx throne, his black eyes narrowing. Speak, Captain Belos. Belos activated a holoprojector, displaying footage from the Zephyr's mission logs. The High Council watched in stunned silence as the advanced human ship decimated Belos's boarding party, its technology far beyond anything the Sele had encountered. Zath's scales flushed a deep crimson as rage boiled within him. He rose to his full 9-foot height, his heavily muscled form casting a long shadow. This cannot stand, he roared. Humanity's relics threaten our dominion. They must be destroyed. The Emperor turned to Belos, his eyes burning with hatred. You will lead our first fleet, Admiral Belos. 500 warships, 50 dreadnoughts, each armed with planet-cracking plasma cannons. Find and annihilate any remnants of human civilization. Let none survive. Belos bowed, his scarred face twisting into a vicious grin. As you command, Emperor. As the newly promoted admiral prepared the first fleet for departure, Sele intelligence operatives uncovered a hidden human outpost on the icy moon of Galileo 7. Belos saw an opportunity to strike a decisive blow. The Sele fleet, cloaked and undetected, emerged from hyperspace near Galileo 7. Belos gave the order, and the dreadnoughts unleashed a devastating orbital bombardment. The outpost's shields, designed to withstand natural threats, crumbled under the onslaught. Sele dropships descended on the battered base like vultures, disgorging heavily armed warriors eager for blood. But as they advanced, a lone figure emerged from the rubble, a human male clad in an advanced exosuit, bristling with weapons. The human engaged the Sele with devastating efficiency, his suit's enhanced capabilities allowing him to move with blinding speed and strike with bone-crushing force. Sele soldiers fell by the dozens, their weapons useless against the human's advanced armor. Belos watched the carnage unfold from orbit, his eyes widening as the human warrior cut through his troops. He realized with growing unease that even after 500,000 years, humanity remained a force to be reckoned with. The human, his suit battered and scorched, retreated deeper into the ruined outpost as more Sele warriors poured from the dropships. Belos leaned forward in his command chair, his claws digging into the armrests. This was only the beginning. Foster's armor was battered, his body bruised, but he pushed through the pain as he sprinted through the outpost's crumbling corridors. He reached the command center, consoles sparking and screens flickering. Foster's fingers flew across the controls, activating the quantum entanglement communicator. The distress beacon pulsed, its signal instantly spanning the vast distances of space. In the Oort cloud, on the edge of the solar system, the human fleet lay in wait. The UESS Titan, a behemoth of a carrier, and the UESS Phantom, a sleek stealth frigate, stood ready among the 200-strong armada. On the Titan's bridge, Admiral Ilara Vasquez watched the monitors, her green eyes sharp, the scar on her cheek a reminder of battles past. The distress signal chimed, and she straightened, her voice booming across the bridge. "All ships, prepare for immediate deployment. Set course for Galileo 7, maximum velocity." The fleet surged forward, fusion reactors pulsing with power, graviton disruptors and antimatter missiles primed for battle. Back on Galileo 7, Foster turned to face Belos, the Sele Admiral's eyes burning with rage. They clashed in a whirlwind of blows, Foster's exosuit enhancing his strength and speed, Belos's natural Sele physiology and combat training making him a deadly foe. Fists slammed into armor, claws raked across metal, neither warrior giving ground. Alarms blared as the outpost's reactor, damaged in the bombardment, began to overload. Foster, seeing his chance, lunged for Belos's gravity manipulator. He overrode the controls, and the device pulsed, sending Belos hurtling through a wall and into the reactor chamber. The Sele Admiral crashed to the floor, rubble pinning his legs, his body broken. Foster ran, the countdown to reactor detonation blaring in his ears. He leaped from the outpost's airlock just as the facility exploded behind him, the blast wave slamming into his back, sending him tumbling through the void. In orbit, the Sele fleet reeled as the explosion tore through their ranks, ships burning and breaking apart. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace, the sight of the damaged Sele armada filling their view screens. Admiral Vasquez's eyes narrowed, her voice cold as she gave the order. "Engage the enemy!" The two fleets clashed, a ballet of destruction against the backdrop of Kepler-62. The human ships, though outnumbered, danced through the Sele formations, their advanced weaponry tearing through enemy shields and hulls. The UES Phantom, captained by Marcus Reeves, darted towards the Sele flagship, the SES Imperator. Reeves, his cybernetic arm interfacing with the ship's systems, guided the frigate through a gauntlet of fire. The Phantom's graviton disruptors pulsed, ripping through the Imperator's shields, antimatter missiles following close behind, slamming into the flagship's weapons and engines, leaving it dead in space. As the tide turned in favor of the humans, a Sele Medivac ship descended on the ruins of the Galileo 7 outpost. It retrieved the broken form of Admiral Belos, whisking him away from the battlefield. The Sele fleet limped away from Galileo 7, ships venting atmosphere and trailing debris. Admiral Belos, his body shattered but his will unbroken, seethed with rage as medics worked to stabilize him. The humans had proven far more resilient than he'd anticipated. On the bridge of the UESS Titan, Admiral Vasquez watched the Sele retreat, her eyes hard. "We have them on the run," she said, turning to her officers, "but this war is far from over. We must strike at the heart of their empire." Captain Nadia Solis, her bionic eye glinting in the light of the holographic displays, nodded. "The Titan is ready, Admiral. We'll make the Sele pay for every human life they've taken." As the human fleet prepared to pursue the Sele, the UESS Phantom docked with the Titan, a battered Andrew Foster stepping onto the bridge. Vasquez greeted him with a firm handshake, her eyes softening. "You've done humanity a great service, Foster. Your actions on Galileo 7 will be remembered." Foster, his exosuit scarred and scorched, managed a weary smile. "I only did what was necessary, Admiral, but the Sele won't stop until we're all dead. We have to end this, once and for all." In the following days, Foster worked closely with the Titan's intelligence team, providing valuable insights into Sele tactics and technology. The human fleet, cloaked and undetected, made its way deep into Sele space, the Titan leading the charge. As they approached Sele Prime, the heart of the reptilian empire, they were met by a massive defense perimeter, thousands of orbital weapon platforms, and a second Sele fleet, even larger than the first, stood between them and the planet's surface. On the bridge of the SES Retribution, Admiral Belos, his body augmented with cybernetic implants, glared at the approaching human fleet. "They dare to attack our homeworld," he snarled, his claws digging into the armrests of his command chair. "They will learn the true power of the Selay." The battle was joined, the void of space lit by the flare of weapons fire and the explosions of dying ships. The Titan, its advanced shields and weaponry tested to their limits, punched through the Selay defenses, Captain Solis guiding the ship with ruthless precision. As the Titan entered low orbit, its graviton cannons unleashed a devastating barrage, targeting military installations and industrial centers. The surface of Selay Prime erupted in flames, the screams of the dying echoing across the planet. Belos, his rage consuming him, ordered a full-scale counterattack. Selay warriors, their armor gleaming in the light of the burning cities, boarded the Titan, clashing with Captain Solis and her crew in brutal close-quarters combat. Amidst the chaos, Andrew Foster, now fully integrated into the human fleet and wearing a cutting-edge exosuit, led a strike team onto the SES Retribution. As alarms blared and Selay soldiers fell before his onslaught, Foster made his way to the bridge, determined to end Belos's reign of terror. The two warriors, human and Selay, stood face to face once more, their eyes locked in a battle of wills. Around them, the Retribution shuddered under the impact of the Titan's weapons, consoles exploding and fires raging. Foster and Belos charged at each other, their weapons clashing in a shower of sparks. They fought with a savage intensity, each blow fueled by hatred and the desperate need for victory. The fate of their respective species hung in the balance, and neither would yield. The Retribution's bridge shook violently, sparks raining from ruptured conduits, as Foster and Belos clashed in a whirlwind of blows. The human's exosuit, battered and scorched, still augmented his strength and speed, allowing him to match the Selay Admiral's raw power. Belos snarled, his cybernetic implants glinting in the emergency lighting. "You fight well, human, but your species' time is at an end." Foster gritted his teeth, dodging a vicious swipe of Belos's claws. "We'll see about that, you scaly bastard." On the planet's surface, the Selay High Council's bunker shuddered under the relentless bombardment from the human fleet. Emperor Zath, his scales ashen, paced the command center, barking orders at his subordinates. "Divert all power to the shields. Launch every fighter we have left." But it was a losing battle. The bunker's defenses, designed to withstand the worst the universe could throw at them, began to crumble under the onslaught of graviton disruptors and antimatter warheads. Back on the Retribution, Foster launched a flurry of blows, driving Belos back against a sparking console. The Selay Admiral, his armor dented and leaking viscous green blood, lashed out with a desperate counterattack. Foster saw his chance. He primed a plasma grenade, the device humming with barely contained energy, and slammed it into Belos's chest. The explosion ripped through the bridge, sending both warriors flying. Belos, his body shattered, lay in a pool of his own blood. Foster, his exosuit systems failing, dragged himself over to the dying Selay. "It's over, Belos. Your fleet is in ruins, your homeworld burning." Belos coughed, a wet, rattling sound. "You think you've won, human? We discovered your hidden weapon, the antimatter bomb in the Oort cloud. If we fall, we'll take you with us." Foster's blood ran cold. He staggered to the communications console, trying desperately to contact Admiral Vasquez, but the Selay jamming held strong. He looked at the Retribution's reactor controls, a desperate plan forming in his mind. If he could overload the core, the explosion would destroy the Selay fleet and the Doomsday weapon, but at the cost of his own life and countless others. With a heavy heart, Foster input the override codes. Warning klaxons blared as the reactor began to destabilize, the ship shaking itself apart. He opened a channel, praying that his message would reach the Titan. "Admiral Vasquez, the Selay have a Doomsday weapon. I'm detonating the Retribution's core to stop them. You need to get the fleet out of here, now." On the Titan's bridge, Vasquez heard Foster's warning, her face going pale. She knew what had to be done, but the cost was almost too much to bear. All ships, emergency jump to Rally Point Alpha, abandon the attack. As the battered human fleet disengaged, the UESS Titan limped away from Soleil Prime, its hull breached and venting atmosphere. On the bridge, medics worked frantically to stabilize Captain Solis, her body broken and bleeding. Vasquez watched the viewscreen, her heart heavy as the SES Retribution, a miniature sun, detonated in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave consumed the Soleil fleet, the planet's surface rippling like water as cities and continents were scoured clean. In the silence that followed, the remnants of the human fleet set course for Earth, their victory ashes in their mouths. The war was over, but at what cost? As the ships limped home, Admiral Vasquez stood on the Titan's observation deck, her eyes fixed on the stars. The weight of the lives lost, both human and Soleil, pressed down on her like a physical burden. The scars of this war would linger for generations, the true price of their survival etched in blood and fire. Humanity had won, but in doing so, they had perhaps lost a part of themselves forever. The fleet sailed on through the endless night, a battered testament to the resilience and indomitable will of the human spirit. But even as they celebrated their hard-won victory, they couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much larger and much more terrible than they could possibly imagine. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.